Tim Kuniskis has stepped down as CEO. Quality control issues are through the roof. A huge number of US-based engineers have been shown the door, and even though profits are up and executives are taking home fat bonus checks, Dodge factories, and well, the entire company for that matter, seems like it's in complete disarray. Dodge, you okay, bro? Today, we're gonna find out. From CEO Tim Kuniskis' voluntarily retiring right before the new Charger launch, where Dodge announced there would be no more V8s, but rather a twin-turbo 6-cylinder and electrified version, to massive layoffs of US-based engineering staff, to reported problems within the manufacturing facilities themselves, making working conditions less than ideal. Then there are the allegedly large amounts of reworks some of their vehicles are requiring before even leaving the factory. According to an employee that works at the plant, he proclaimed on a UAW podcast that there are brand new trucks that won't start, infotainment systems that are dead right out of the box, and a huge number of vehicles requiring repairs before final checks can be performed. And while it's great that the parent company Stellantis just reported their highest profits ever, and it's sure to make shareholders happy on the surface, it seems like the way they've gotten there is through massive layoffs and forcing the men and women who build some of these frankly awesome cars and trucks to work under less than perfect conditions. Which, yeah, not great. But is this the beginning of the end? Or just a new beginning? We'll get to that in a sec. Because see, in recent years, Dodge has been killing it. And while it seems like they've stubbed their toe, we believe they're gonna find their footing and get back to creating the badass products we love once again. So let's break this down. And we're gonna start with taking a look at the events surrounding Tim Kuniskis and his retirement. I want to start this by saying I'm a big fan of Stellantis and most of its vehicles. I've owned Rams, Jeeps, 3 different Vipers, and even a first-gen Neon. And truth be told, if I needed a new pickup right now, another Ram would be at the absolute top of my list. So while I believe in their products and engineering and design, recent reports of the culture within the company and some pretty interesting moves that have been made internally leave us with some questions as to what is really going on, starting with Tim Kuniskis. Tim Kuniskis has been with the company for 32 years, which according to our analytics is longer than most of you have been alive, and spent the last 3 of them acting as CEO for Dodge and Ram. He was appointed head of the Dodge brand in 2011, and he is known as the godfather of some things like the now iconic Hellcat V8. From the Hellcat to the TRX to the Demon and even the 5th-gen Viper, we have Tim and his team to thank for all of it. While it makes for a nice narrative seeing Kuniskis bow out alongside the Hemi V8, which is also retiring this year, several journalists and internet personalities are not convinced it's all just whimsical timing. See, over the last 2 years, a number of key leadership personnel have been moved around, let go, or gotten the hell out of Dodge on their own. Pun absolutely intended. And while there are no concrete facts about what exactly has led to Tim taking retirement and Matt McAleer taking his place, there is a lot of speculation that Kuniskis has gotten fed up with the parent company Stellantis and their business practices and has been ousted in perhaps a golden parachute situation. I mean, if you were the reason that Mopar meant more power and the V8 engines being sent to pasture, even if it does come down to government regulation changes, combined with the fact that Stellantis, the parent company of Dodge, has killed off the Street and Racing Team, or SRT program, in its entirety, and more than one production plant is in disarray, if you were offered a golden parachute, chances are you take it. Because in a way, it feels just like everything you've built is just a skeleton of its former self. If you don't know what a golden parachute means, it's when a company offers you a large sum of cash in exchange for signing an absolute textbook of an NDA for you to step aside and claim retirement so that shareholders don't get nervous. Look, Tim is a real car guy and fought tooth and nail to bring the Dodge and Ram brands screaming into this decade with the most firepower under their hoods of any automaker on the planet. And while we'll probably never know for sure if him stepping down at this pivotal moment in the company's history is actually because of some internal struggle or disagreement with the corpos at Stellantis, or if he's just satisfied with making it as far as being chief executive officer for a major automaker and it's time to wind things down, one thing's for sure. For us, and frankly I think I speak for most enthusiasts, Tim, you will be deeply missed. Matt McAleer is stepping in to try and fill his shoes. At least he is for the Dodge brand. Chrysler CEO Christine Fuel is stepping in and doing double duty running Chrysler and heading up Ram. Not that that That's too much to ask though, seeing as Chrysler literally sells a single vehicle. Stellantis has moved around several key players for the North American market, and while we won't get into it in this video, the cliff notes are COO Mark Stewart has left the company and become CEO of Goodyear Tire, and is replaced by Carlos Zarlinga, who joined the company in 2022 to head up their Mexico operations. Jeff Hines, who previously served as head of Stellantis' US fleet operations, and back in the day ran the Jeep brand in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, has replaced Jason Stojkovic as president of Stellantis Canada. And Jeff Comer has been appointed as senior VP of commercial sales, which sounds like a demotion from his previous title, head of US sales. And what that all really means is the company is making some major shifts to its North American operations, which isn't always a bad thing. It's not always a sign of trouble within a corporation, but it's a bit like when dad moves out and starts hanging out with the nice neighbor lady, and mom's old coworker keeps buying you ice cream and coming to your softball games. Everything's fine, your parents aren't getting a divorce, and hey, this is totally normal. If things keep going this way, you might get to celebrate Christmas twice a year. The main point here is that with Kuniskis leaving and several other C-suite employees getting shuffled around, things will be changing. Some of it, though, is hopefully for good reason. When you look at the balance sheets, everything looks like it's better than ever. But when the CEO of Stellantis is taking a $30 million bonus check while the factories that produce their best-selling Ram is in disrepair, it's tough to put out your best work in less than ideal conditions. Ram truck engineers, for instance, worked tirelessly to make the 2025 facelift pickups the best trucks the company has ever shipped. And that's coming off a 3-year high of Ram winning Truck of the Year 3 years in a row. But right as the ink dried on the final engineering plans and designs, a huge portion of the team was laid off. Now, where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, Boeing. Right as their new lineup of full carbon planes were passing computer simulations, and before even a fully functional prototype was assembled, the engineers were shown the door, meaning that when the assembly workers who actually had to screw the thing together ran into problems, no one there on site to effectively come up with solutions. We're getting off track here, but contrast that with Airbus. As I've been told by some friends in the aerospace industry, when a new plane is put into production, the first few examples are constructed not by the regular production crews, but by the engineers themselves, who can find and obviously fix problems within their designs or assembly processes before full production begins. So, build an all-new machine, and then, right before the thing is even validated, fire everyone who designed it. Seems like a great idea, right? And it hasn't exactly worked out for Boeing. Assembly workers claim that a staggering number of Ram trucks in particular need sometimes extensive rework and repair before they even leave the factory, citing problems like vehicles rolling off the line missing parts or modules or engines failing to start. They also claim that problems they find during assembly of these vehicles falls on deaf ears. Wiring harnesses, for instance, are a big one. Apparently, workers are claiming that the harnesses are being delivered too short, which puts too much strain on the connectors or results in the connectors never being fully seated in the first place. Meaning, a new truck or Jeep gets delivered, and the first time the customer does so much as hit a nastier than usual pothole, or God forbid, use the vehicle the way it's explicitly advertised, it ends up on a flatbed being returned to the dealer for repair. I can't say that's been our experience. We've driven quite a few recent Dodge products pretty aggressively, and they've held up just fine, except for Tina, our 2021 Rubicon EcoDiesel that spent 8 months of the 2 years we owned it in the shop for a phantom shifter error. The biggest problem with that is the engineers that could step in and come up with actual solutions for the problems have all been laid off. Instead, Stellantis has allegedly hired engineers in Brazil, India, and Morocco, who might be brilliant engineers in their own right, but they're not the ones that developed these things in the first place, and they're thousands of miles away from where all these trucks are being built and used. And all of that is to gloss over the last call situation of Charger and Challenger, where the last time you'll be able to place an order for one of these awesome cars, to which buyers paid premiums for, partially in hopes that they would one day appreciate, only then to watch as Stellantis extended the production window. Or in 2021, Durango SRT Hellcat was supposed to just be a single production year run, limited to just 3,000 units, which led to markups and increased desirability, only to go back on their word and build more of them in 2023, which, shocker, drove down the value of the 2021s, and has led to decreased value across the board. So what does the future hold for Stellantis? It's hard to say for sure. On the one hand, they've got some of the best performing vehicles in the market. On the other, their internal issues may be mounting, and the way they're handling them leaves a lot to be desired. That being said, sometimes mistakes happen, And every time Dodge has found itself in trouble for one reason or another, it's come back stronger. As car enthusiasts, we're still rooting for Dodge and the rest of Stellantis to weather this storm and get its act together. Because at the end of the day, we love these cars. We love the roar of the Charger, the ruggedness of the Ram, and the adventurous spirit of the Jeep. But if the company continues down this path, the future of these beloved brands could be in jeopardy. Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more automotive content. And let me know in the comments what you think about the situation at Dodge and Stellantis. In the meantime, go watch some of these other ideal videos right over here. My name's Trav. Thank you all for watching. See you next week.